the same pattern all the way up and down the neck. So what I started to do was come up with little 3-string arpeggios, I guess, using the diminished scale. But stuff like... You know, which is, I guess that's kind of more of a jazz fusion kind of thing, but, you know... But then if you finish it off with some pentatonic stuff, it still has a real rock kind of vibe about it. Now, I'll show you a couple of exercises that I started off with the diminished scale, which I still use in soloing now. And, you know, to get your sweep picking happening and just changing, moving up and down the neck, you know, changing positions. So we'll do it in the key of E, and we'll start on the D and move our way down to the B string. So, as I said, the thing with diminished scale is that it's the same pattern all the time. So once you get it comfortable in one position, all you've got to focus on is just moving it up the neck. The fingering's completely the same. So with this exercise, I'll do it once quickly so you can hear how it sounds. Okay, so that's slowly. What we're doing is we're starting off on the E and we're hammer to the G string. And then you simply move it up to the next position and go backwards. And obviously you can take that up and down the neck as much as you want. And you don't have to play it through like that. I mean, you can trill it in, you know, 2 different positions. Whatever you want, but it's a good exercise to get your sweep picking happening. And the other thing I love about diminished scales is it's very easy to get out of them and back into the pentatonic scale, which is, you know, and tonally, like I said, they fit together really, really well. So it's a great thing, you know, like with a lot of other scales like harmonic minors and stuff like that, they're so tonally significant that it's very difficult to get back to, you know, like a pentatonic scale or something. You know, it just has a certain flavour about it that's sometimes difficult to get out of. So once again, slowly. And what I'm doing there to get out of that is I'm doing a few different variations of a diminished scale. So from here. And the way that I'd normally approach that is because then we're back in the first position of the pentatonic scale. So the thing with this diminished scale and finishing with me is that what I focus on is that I relate everything back to the pentatonic scale all the time. So even, say how I was finishing this pattern here, finishing there, I know that that's the first position of the pentatonic scale. But say, if, for instance, if I was finishing here, like that, I know either side I have the 3rd pattern of the pentatonic scale or the 4th pattern. So that's basically how I get myself in and out of the diminished scale, and I never really focus on tonally. Well, that's not true, but everything's just all patterns and shapes for me. So, you know, and the only way you get to have that freedom is, you know, practicing each individual scale over and over again, and, you know, just so you can do it basically with your eyes closed. So, for instance, if I was in this position here, I would go back to pentatonic and maybe... So from there, I'm doing, like, that's a flat 5 pentatonic, and that's just like a little arpeggio lick that I use, and it's like this. So you'd have... The possibilities are endless, you know, I could play on and on and on all the time. But, you know, that's the thing. You never want to be stuck in one position on the guitar. You want freedom all over the guitar. you know, because if you keep going back to the same spots or doing the same lick in the same position all the time, it gets very boring for both you and the listener, you know. And the other cool thing about this kind of approach to playing is that you don't have to do it with a dirty sound or whatever, you know. It can be applied to, you know, jazz or fusion or whatever, you know. And quite often if I'm doing a, you know, a slow bluesy number or jazzy number or something with a clean sound, I still approach soloing or scales or runs with these same techniques. You know, it applies to everything. It's great. One of the hardest things about, you know, playing arpeggios and making them sound clean is the actual, you know, the articulation and just basically the coordination between both hands. And, you know, I didn't even know about sweep picking until I was about 18 or something like that. So it was a very late thing for me, which was, in hindsight, it was a very good thing, because basically everything I'd done up until that point was alternate picking. And, you know, like I said, Eric Johnson was one of the major influences on me, and there's no one on this planet who has the articulation of his right hand. I mean, his alternate picking is absolutely incredible. So I would play through all his stuff and approach all my pentatonic playing with, you know, alternate picking. And later on, when I discovered sweep picking, I didn't really like the sound of it in a conventional way, whereas, you know, the conventional way is that, say, if you're approaching a major scale, it would be down, up, down, down, up, down, down. That kind of sound didn't really interest me. What I wanted to use it for was for arpeggios, you know, so I could, you know, just because I love the sound of things that were really, really fast, but I love the feel and you know, aggressiveness of, you know, a solo from, say, like Stevie Ray or something like that. So it was just my challenge to make it fit how I wanted it to fit. So I guess, you know, the other thing is that when I play arpeggios, I kind of have a little bit of a different technique. I actually quite aggressively hit the string. I don't try and be too light, you know. Whereas the other way, if you're playing through it with like this major scale in the conventional way, you do have to be very, very light on the strings. If you're too aggressive, it just won't work. But, you know, so just to if we go back to this exercise that I showed you before, probably a good way to practice it is to just practice it in one position. And say if we just reverse the arpeggio, like we start here. And just practice going down, so down, 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 up, up, up. Now the key is that the other thing with arpeggios that you must remember is you must always be muting as well. You know, you don't want to have your hand up here, especially if you're playing with high gain, because it just turns into mush. So just slowly, say if we'll do it in this position here.